perspectives, as you can see on the screen, it says a foundational perspective to propel you to the highest level of achievement. So these 6 personal perspectives is pretty much the foundation to the training throughout Keller Williams. All right. So KW, before any class, before anyone, oh, thank you. All right. Thanks, Katrina. Before any class, Keller Williams would make the presenter go over these 6 personal perspectives. So this would be for maybe like the first day and a half of whatever training you were going to with Keller Williams. They would lead with the 6 personal perspectives. All right, that's how important they are to the foundation of the training within Keller Williams, guys. So I wanted to do an overview because every year I bring in one of my dear friends. She is a master faculty. So basically she goes around the country and teaches for Keller Williams, right? And her course that she trained under to teach was the 6 personal perspectives. Her name is Deb Nardi. So I'm looking to get her in next month. We usually do it about mid-year. And I'm looking to bring her in. And one of the feedback that we received from our agents, as well as Deb in the room, because of life and everyone, moving at rapid speed, a lot of the agents didn't know about the 6 personal perspectives, what they were, and we're not asking you to memorize each one of these. I mean, it'd be great if you did. However, you should be somewhat familiar as you're going through classes and just something to kind of look back on. Does that make sense? So today we're going to have an overview of the perspectives. Melody, Christina, you guys are in the room with me. So those people that are out here on Zoom world, they're going to rely on you to interact with me a little bit. Okay. Okay. All right. Cool. So let's get started. The difference. What is the difference? What is it that differentiates those who achieve at a high level from those who don't seem to achieve, to accomplish as much? That's a live question. It's no right or wrong.
What is it that those who achieve at a high level?
At the highest level, from those who don't seem to accomplish as much? Perseverance, yes. What else?
So I was going to say persistence, but
persistence, same thing, exactly, right. What else? Focus, right?
Dedication, commitment.
Yeah. I would say people
preparation,
resiliency,
right? Absolutely. Those people that are coachable, right? Because you don't know what you don't know, right? Exactly. So there's a number of, there's no one magic pill is what we're saying, right? Well, today we're going to dive into the perspectives that make this happen. So defining the 6 personal perspectives. So, don't tell me I'm about to have clicker problems, y'all. Kidding. Deanna, if you're watching, I think we need batteries for this thing. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I think we're going to need a battery. But anyway, defining the 6 personal perspectives. So everything starts with mindset, your approach to life, and then your attitude. Will we agree? Those are like super important things, right? Mindset, how you approach things, and then your attitude. Now let's get into the 6 personal perspectives. So number 1, commit to self-mastery. Committing to self-mastery. That's step 1. Someone take a stab at What do you think that is? What do you think committing to self-mastery, what does that mean to you?
Is that education and making sure that you are educated and to the point where you are a master, you understand?
Absolutely.
Jump up and down.
Absolutely. You would hear Gary Keller say, if you want to master one thing, and maybe it's a class that you're taking or subject or whatever subject matter, then you need to take that class at least 10 times. At least 10 times before you actually mastered it, right? And what is the quickest way to mastery, guys? I'm gonna tell you that one because you may not know it. It's teaching something. You know, once you gained enough material, you don't want to get up in front of a room and you know, have it researched or things of that nature, which means that's why you master things quicker when you teach it, because who's going to get up in front of a room and try to teach on a subject matter that they haven't thoroughly reviewed, right? But you learn more the more you teach it. So committing to self-mastery, you hit it pretty much, Melody, on the head when you said that. I am going to nail it. I'm going to master this. That's committing to self-mastery, right? The second perspective, step 2, is committing to the 80-20 principle, right? Who could tell me what the 80-20 principle is? You guys ever heard of that?
I've heard of it.
It's called Pareto's
I've heard of
principle.
it, but I can't recall exactly.
All right, 20%, 80% of your results come from 20% of your act, right? So what you focus on expands. And in a nutshell, what they say in the perspectives is, I'm going to focus on my big rocks. Meaning, what are the things that I need to do in such of doing those things, everything else becomes obsolete or, you know, unnecessary or obsolete, right? Very not really necessary or obsolete. Number 3 is moving from E to P, and that's going from entrepreneurial to purposeful. That's what that E to P stands for, entrepreneurial to purposeful. And as you can see, it says, I'm purposeful about breaking through my ceiling of achievement. I want you to think about something. I'll give you an example of me, not in business, but in my everyday life. A few years ago, I decided that I wanted to run a half marathon, right? I said, you know what? I enjoy running. You know, the most I've ever ran is a 5K. I'm going to do a half marathon. So I'm going to skip the 10K and I'm going to go straight for a half, right? And the entrepreneurial person in me just got out and start running 3-4 times a week. You know, I'd run 4 miles, I'd run 6 miles, right? Run 8 miles. And a half marathon is 13.2. So I'd run 13.6, something like that. But anyway, I'd run. But I had no purpose for it. I had no running regimen. I had nothing. I wasn't following anything, right? So after a while, I didn't know exactly where I stood as far as my time, my breathing, or anything like that, right? So after the first couple of weeks, I couldn't measure where I was. I couldn't measure if I was going to be ready in the next couple of months to run this half marathon. And I started telling people about it. And then I actually got on purpose. So I joined a running club. I learned how to run. I learned, you know, how to breathe. I learned how to train for it. You know, you don't just go out and run the same distance every time. You kind of switch it up a little bit, right? So I became on purpose about the run, and I shared it with everybody. So that's kind of an example from E to P. Because if not, you're going to hit your head. You're going to hit a plateau. You can only do so much entrepreneurial, right? So when you add the purpose to it, you put in systems. So now I put in a system for running. You know, I said, okay, I'm gonna run 5 miles this day, 3 miles the next, 10 miles, 2 days from then, take a couple of days break, go back to 5. I'm gonna mix it up, right? So you add a system, right, and accountability. And that's when you become on purpose for something. Number 4 is make being learning based the foundation of your action plan. So in the perspectives, we say, I'm willing to be taught and I always pursue learning. And I said this opening up, guys, we only know what we don't know, right? We don't know what we don't know, right? Until you jump in the classroom or you hear someone talk about it and you say it, that's when you start to learn, and you have to be open for that, right? Step number 5, remove your limiting beliefs. This is one of my favorite ones, limiting beliefs. And what you say to that is, I unlimit my thinking and my success. When you remove your limiting beliefs, you unlimit your thinking and your success. You take it all off. You basically, the sky's the limit. You know how we hear that all the time? There are some people that actually put limits on themselves. Can any of you guys think of anything that you've done in life and you kind of limited yourself for that? A lot. Anybody willing to share anything that they may have done, have put on themselves?
Let's see, limit myself. When I was younger, I limited myself as far as my education. I didn't take finishing college serious. Then I had to go back at 47 years old to try to finish that. So,
yeah.
So that was a limitation that I put on myself.
Yeah, that's a common one.
For me, working out, I put limitations on myself because I work out, but then I don't like to do it alone. So
Yes.
I'm limiting myself instead of always worrying about trying to find someone to do it with me.
Right.
I need to just do it.
Nike, I was sitting there thinking that in my head. Thanks for sharing that. Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, you can do anything that you put your mind to. It's all about the number 1, which is mindset. Yeah. Right? That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that. Did you want to share one, Katrina? Something got you giggling back there.
I have with my real estate.
Wow, I like that.
Okay. Working a full-time job.
Yeah.
It's very demanding.
Yeah.
So I started off staying up later, trying to get this stuff done and read through my 90 days.
Right.
And it all fell apart. I was just like, I keep telling myself I can't do all of this.
Right.
When in actuality, I can if I had the right system in place and if I just kept pushing through.
100%. And it's so funny. Typically, I don't have my flip chart up here, but typically when I run, something wrong though?
We're readjusting it in classroom, right? If somebody's gonna speak, either have them come to the microphone or you have to repeat what they said. You can't hear people from the back of the room.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
So basically what Katrina was saying, guys, was with her real estate, she has a limiting belief because she works a full-time demanding job. So she has a limiting belief on the production that she can do or doing any production because of the time restraints. And she's already realized with just going over the perspectives that that's her putting that limit on herself. And if she really leveraged and had and if she leveraged and time blocked that, she can make those things happen. She does not have to be limited because she's working another job. Did I repeat that right? Okay, cool. So, and I was saying, typically when I go over E to P, which is one of my favorite ones, right? When I go over E to P, which is step 3, I usually have the entrepreneur at the bottom and I'll draw a line and I'll have purposeful at the top, right? And entrepreneurially, we can do anything. Entrepreneurially, I could go out and run 5 miles today. Like, I'm just the true nonstop, the will of me can go running. But if I wanted to run a half marathon, I had to get on purpose about that. And getting on purpose, I had to go seek some help, some training, professional, right? I had to learn different techniques. Guess what? I had to eat right. So there was accountability to my body. Same thing with Katrina and her business. She wants to be on purpose about her business. So she's got to put systems in place. She's got a time block. She's got to record her actions. She's got to get somebody to be accountable to, right? So when we dive deep in, when Deb Nardi comes here, guys, and when Deb comes, it's not a class, it's actually a workshop. So that's why I'm covering this now, so you guys can start thinking about this, because in that workshop, we dive deep, we pause. It's a 3.5-hour class. You get CE for it, but it's pretty long because we pause. It's gonna be in June, so we haven't scheduled it yet. June, if anything, early July, but we're shooting for June. She's checking her schedule, and it'll be in person, but it'll be a workshop. So limiting beliefs. Thank you for sharing, guys, on that. The last one is being accountable, and being accountable means it's mine, I own it.
Okay.
And I've heard that in the room already from both of you guys with the educational thing. If you would have, Melanie, said that, guys, one of her limiting beliefs was saying that she could go further in school. So she had to go back when she was in her mid-40s to complete something she could have did when she was younger, right? And you could have, Melody, said, you know what? And not saying if you have kids or not, but I have kids, or I got this, or I need to work, or whatever, right? That would have been passing the buck and not being accountable for what you control, right? And the same thing with Katrina, she can say, you know what? I have this full-time job, it's demanding, whatever, but we're owning that and we're pushing through. All right, we're owning it and we're pushing through. So thank both of you ladies for sharing. So now we're gonna go into each one of them now. So now let's go into committing to self-mastery. This is step 1. Self-mastery is the possession of great knowledge, skills, and habits that make you the master of you, right? That makes you the master of you. So we talked about, you know, a training class or a subject matter that you want to grasp, right? But it's also bigger than that. It's also about you knowing exactly what you want out of life, right? And how to go get it, right? So when you commit to achieving self-mastery, there's 3 things that you know for certain. For certain. And number 1 is you have to know your goals. When you're committing to self-mastery, you have to know your goals. Think about me when I said I was running that half marathon. I wanted to finish the race in under 2 hours and 30 minutes, right? That was the goal. I wanted to run that 13.6, and I wanted to do that in under, or 13.1. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank on what it is. Should know, I ran it.
Right.
And I got this whole market center behind me. It was a few years ago. I can't wait. I'm gonna need to share some of those photos. But anyway, know your goal. You have to know your goal. That's 1. Number 2 is know your strengths and your weaknesses. Why is it important for us to know our strengths and our weaknesses?
Because if you know what your strengths are, then you can utilize them more, and because you know they work for you. You know?
Yes.
Whereas your weaknesses, you want to avoid those areas if you can.
I love said, yeah, so if you couldn't hear Melody spoke up on this one. She said, it's important to know your strengths and your weaknesses, because to know your strengths, you know where to put all your efforts into. And your weaknesses, you kind of want to avoid those or hire someone to deal with that, right? Because it's probably got to be done. And I love that. Kudos to you, because most people say it the opposite way. Most people say, oh, if we know our weaknesses, we can work on those more. No. Why work on something that you're not good at, that you'll probably never be good at? Because when you go try to work on that and you just never gonna be good at it, guess what's now diminished? Your strengths. You're taking time for what you're strong at. So always, pour back into your strengths even more, and then go and hire somebody to work on, to deal with your weaknesses. Or like Melody said, avoid them. Be so strong in your strengths that your weaknesses are totally obsolete. They don't even matter, right?
I actually learned the way to do that, and the value of that was when I took real estate, because I'm terrible at math. I mean, I was, even in high school, everything was, what did they call it, gifted classes, but I was horrible at math. And he was like, don't focus on the math. Focus on everything else and you'll pass.
That's right, because it's not gonna be enough questions. You'll get some of them, right? It
Right.
worked. Oh, I love that story, Melanie. So she said in real estate school, she wasn't really good in the math portion. She finally ran across somebody that said, don't focus so much on the math, just focus on all the things that you're really good at. You'll get more of those answers right, and it'll off balance, you'll at least pass. And boom, here she is, first try. There you go. I love that analogy. That's awesome. And the last one, guys, is know how to work with both your strengths and your weaknesses to reach your goal. Love that. Love that. Know how to work with your strengths and your weaknesses to reach your goal. And we already said in Melanie's words, avoid those weaknesses as much as possible. All right. So then step one, the mastery is the possession of great knowledge, skills, and habits that make one the master of a subject. That came from the Outliers book. So give me each one of you guys got to give me an aha after each one of these, right? Because y'all in the room. So what stuck out to step one for you, committing to self-mastery? What was something, what give me a takeaway?
When she said to avoid your weaknesses, because for me, my weaknesses are my fears. They make me fearful. So
Wow.
when I'm trying to do something else and I know that I have this weakness, I kind of shy away from doing anything.
Got it. So what was shared, guys, was, no, that's okay. What was shared was Katrina said that her weakness is fear. One of her weaknesses is fear. And when she fears things, she kind of shut down and don't get anything accomplished. So now she's just gonna fight through it. Like, she's not gonna fear anything. She's just gonna go for it. So I love that. That's what she said. That's what came out for her, was an aha for self-mastery. Go ahead, Melanie.
So for me, know your goals. So just write down your goals, know what your focus is, where you're trying to go, what you're trying to do.
I love that. We can't, if there's no gap, if we don't know where we're trying to go, and we know where we are, right? But if we don't know where we're trying to go, it's hard to get help. No one can coach you to just an open-ended thing. There has to be some type of gap that I can, I have to know where the finish line is, What if I said take that half marathon, if I said, oh, I'm running and I just want to learn how to run, well, where are you running to or how far you want to run? I don't know, I just want to run. That's hard to coach to, right? Like, how do I know when I've achieved anything? It's just weird. So just having that gap, and that's the first thing when they said, when I walked into the Big Peach Running School, the first thing they said is, what's your goal? Are you trying to run a 5K, 10K, half, full marathon? What's the goal? was like, how many? So that's important. That's important. Well, thank you, ladies. So we kind of cool on the first one, right?
Mhm.
All right, cool. Step 2 is committing to the 80-20 principle. So I told you guys what the 80-20 principle was. We'll go through it in this right now too. So the truth is, there is a pattern of predictable imbalance in life. It's called the 80-20 principle, also known as Pareto's principle. And what it means is more results come from fewer activities, but they have to be what? The right activities, right? You can get more results. So 80% of your results can come from 20% of your activity if it's the right activity. So this is the first thing I thought about, Katrina, when you mentioned working and things of that nature. The first person I thought about was a lady named Latanya Watkins. She was an agent here. She was part-time. She worked a very demanding job, and she was always in the top 3 to 5. She never reached number 1, but she was always within the top 5, just to call it that, of the agents in this office at a part-time and a very demanding day job. But you want to know, I'll tell you what, she focused on lead gen in time block, like you mentioned earlier. She had a block and she had a certain amount of people that she needed to meet and talk to every single week. So sometimes she talked to 15 people one day, sometimes she talked to 3, but she always knew she was going to hit that 50 by the end of the week. And what she found, and she found her niche. Her niche was the people actually on the job that she was working. She became the real estate expert on her job. And not to say that can happen, because I don't know what type of work you do, but when you focus on that, right, you put the activities for lead generation, that's when the results pour in. All right. Yeah, absolutely.
She's constantly telling me.
Right. Yeah, that's where it's at. Step 2, still committed to the 80-20 principle. When we are focused on the 20% that matters, we get 80% of the results, right? So 20% effort, 80% results. Just another visual, so this sticks in. So this sticks in. And if in real estate, what would you guys say the 20% is when you're talking real estate, being a real estate professional? What's your top 20% activity that you should be doing?
I see.
Lead gen. Stop right there. Lead gen, period. And follow-up can go slide up in that 20%. But lead gen, you have to lead gen. You're not lead gen, then you're getting caught up in the 80%. Your top 20% is lead gen, lead follow-up, period. That's it. All right. And then this is interim Pareto. It's the next. And it says identify your 20%. Then go even smaller by finding the vital few of the vital few. So we identified our 20%, right? It was broad. What did we say it was? Lead gen, right? So according to Pareto, it doesn't stop there. All right, now find the 20% in lead gen. Like, what am I, like, so lead gen, now, what specific lead gen am I doing that's getting me my results? Right? I'm just giving you an overview because guess what? With the book and the workbook and all of these things, you're gonna do exercise. We're gonna break you up into groups and you're gonna sit and talk about this and you're gonna break down, okay, lead gen, all right. Christina will be like, well, I work a full-time job. All right, group, help Christina. What kind of lead gen activities can she be doing? right? Melody, oh, I'm not doing knocking, I'm not walking all those doors, I'm not doing this. Well, what can she do? Oh, she can do open houses on the weekends, right? Same thing, Katrina, that made me work. If you don't work weekends, do open houses. A lot of orphan buyers out there right now. I'm doing an open house class on Thursday, actually, right here in the room. So you will break it down to the vital few and get great ideas. And then we want to stay away from the much to do not about nothing stuff. That's that 80%. We want to stay away from that. And then making a success list, not a to-do list. How many of us have a to-do list, right? And it's just stuff that's on there and that's been on there and been on there and been on there. Yeah, one day I'm gonna get to it, right? But if we change that to-do list into a success list, then now we're doing the 20% of activities that's gonna get us there. I know this is small on the screen, so I'll read it. So this person wanted, it's funny, they wanted to run. They wanted to run a marathon. So the first thing they did was, the first list they thought was a to-do list for them was they were gonna work on the diet, and plan, work on hydration plan, select strength, program, select running, regimen, and then find a compatible running group, right? It's funny, it sounds like everything I did, after I stopped trying to do it for myself for a couple of weeks. But then they even broke it down more than that. So they wrote that out and then they prioritized it. So the first one, work on diet plan, was 4, work on hydration was 5, select strength program 2, select running regimen was 1, and find a compatible running group was 3. Well, they deemed selecting a running regimen as the #1 priority out of that group, right? So then they took that, selecting a running regimen, and they wrote down, okay, how do you do that? Join 5K or 10K, practice on heels, time block my training schedule, check equipment, plan practice. Out of that one, time blocking the training schedule became #1. So then they said, okay, how do I time block my training? So they put time block training schedule. Then they said choose AM or PM, weekly, dedicated to training, arrange babysitter and dog sitter, get a running watch, coordinate with an experienced running partner or coach, and then identify indoor training alternatives for weather days. Well, they deemed coordinate with an experienced running partner or coach as the #1 thing, right? So, and then it was like, voila. If I go to get a running partner and coach, then we can sit and go through all the rest of the things that even matter. You see what I'm saying? As opposed to getting stuck with trying to do the stuff at the very, can you see yourself saying, oh, I'm running a half, and start working on those first 5 things and feel like you're doing something when you're really not? So, okay. So you will be able to break down that lead gen, like I said. And then time blocking, manage your time. And the truth on that is people think there is never enough time to be successful, but there is when you time block it. I think I'm hitting home for Katrina in that back, boy. I am hitting home with that. All right. And then so time block the truth, and then protect your time block. The world doesn't know your purpose and your priorities and isn't responsible for them. You are. When you time block something, right? When you time blocked it, it's like if you had a doctor's appointment and you was going to, see a specialist about something, right? or you're gonna let a buyer or a seller call you and your appointment's at 1 o'clock and say, hey, can you show me this house at 1:30? You're gonna say no. Exactly. You're going to say, hey, can we reschedule? You're not gonna just give them a no. You're gonna say, hey, I'm sorry, I have an appointment at that time, very important. Can we push it back to maybe 4? Or can we do it at 9:30 a.m. or can we do it tomorrow at 1:30? You're gonna give them alternative times that's on your schedule that you can find. That's the key to time blocking for your lead gen. That's the key to time blocking for your 20%. And that's the biggest mistake I see agents make. The biggest mistake I see agents make is they start, chasing, and letting people control and you get burned out. So time blocking is very important on so many levels. It's important for lead gen because if you don't time block for it, it'll never get done. And you time block your schedule for appointments and things of that nature. You have to, because this business is it's fast paced. It's really never stopped, right? So you have to set your schedule. You have to time block. Another cool thing about time blocking is how you protect your time is build a bunker. So find that place, that you say, this is where I'm going to time block at. Right? This is where I'm going to lead gen, or this is where I'm going to study, or whatever it is you're time blocking for at that moment. Find that bunker. Right now, we said that lead gen is our top thing. Find that, build that bunker. And then store for provisions. Most of the time, guess what? We're going to want to eat something. We're going to want to drink something. So we're going to want to come out of that bunker to go get those things, right? Well, guess what? We can bring them with us. We can bring our thermal. We can bring snacks, right? And then sweeping for minds. What in our world, that's your cell phone, dinging, your email, all of those different things, right? Don't those things distract us when we're trying to, because remember, we're time blocking. So if we're time blocking for lead gen, but we're answering emails, returning phone calls, answering texts, we're not time blocked for that anymore. Now we're allowed so much other stuff in our time block. So are we really, focused on our 20% at that particular time? No. And then the last but certainly not least, enlist support. So if you're at home doing this, that could be a spouse, that could be an older kid. Tell people what you're doing. Hey, listen, I'm about to go off the grid and lead generate for the next hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever it is, hour. I'm gonna need you to respect my time and don't bother me unless the house is on fire. Not literally, but don't bother me. That's support. Yes, Katrina.
Is there a certain cutoff time when you shouldn't? Because in my mind, I'm thinking I don't need to be contacting anyone about real estate like after this 6 or 7 p.m.
Yeah, and that's a great question. So her question was, is there a cutoff time that we should be contacting people about real estate? That depends on your database and who you're actually calling. Most people are sitting down, for dinner or finishing dinner around that time. So I honestly, I would always go into 8. 8 was my hard cutoff, although my cell phone says 7. But I'll call someone to probably 8 o'clock. I'm not calling you after 8 o'clock, right? And I've never gotten much pushback from that. Because remember, I'm not calling you, Katrina, I'm not calling you specifically about real estate. I'm calling as a care call. I'm calling to check on you. I'm calling to see did you get my postcard. I'm calling did you see my Facebook post? I'm giving away a gift card at the end of the week. I'm calling you for for a purpose and not just to say, or you're interested in buying, selling, or investing in real estate. Got it? So, so with that being said, I think it's safe to say, that, you know, it depends on your database, and I think 8 o'clock was always my cutoff. So I'm gonna give you guys a few seconds. I'm gonna feel my water thing. I'm gonna give you guys a few seconds. I want you to think of an aha for commitment number 2.
Okay.
All right.
Hey, come on. How are you?
Ahas and
So basically, something that stuck out, that made you think, that made you, you know.
so for me, that was one of my hardest things, the time block. And just being able to turn real estate off, you know, because I came from on-site. And so
That's right.
I spoiled my customers. They can call me anytime. And, you know, I would be in the subdivision, I mean, until late at night, you know, and then I get home and I'm still got emails and text messages. And it's like, when do you turn this off? And so for me, I just decided to set it, like you said, at about 7, you know, and I just would put like I had an auto response. If, you know, if this message is after 7 o'clock, your call will be returned the next day. And so
Yeah,
just.
that's mine. That's
you
what
know.
mine says now. So you got, so you like the idea of being purposeful about your time block.
Yes.
In the 80-20, absolutely. And you know, there's an old saying, you basically have to teach people how to treat you.
Mhm.
You know, you have to teach people how to treat you. Katrina, what was yours out of the 80-20?
So I have 2 marks. The time blocking, yes, that has been told to me more than one time. But in my time block time, but when I tried to time block, the phone was going off, I answered the phone.
So
Family
sweeping for
member
mines,
calls.
do not disturb.
Yeah, family members called, and you're like, look, okay.
Yep.
And then staying away from a to-do list and making it a success list.
Success list.
All of my lists at the top say to do, even for work is a to do, and when I look at it, I almost break.
Put the numbers by. Like, so write it out and then put the numbers by it. And then whichever one that's in the 1, go ahead and carry it over. And then do the same thing for that one, carry it over. And then it'll then work itself out to a success. And so now all you're doing is each number 1 thing. And that's how you get your 5 things. So when in that example that they gave, so it was run a marathon, and then he lists 5 things on what he needed to do to run the marathon. Out of that 5, the number 1 was select a running regimen. Then he lists 5 things. Out of that one, it was time block my training schedule. Out of that one, it was coordinate with an experienced running partner or coach, right? So his goal was run a marathon, select a running, so now this is his success list. Run a marathon, select a running regimen, time block the training schedule, and coordinate with an experienced running coach, partner or coach. That's it. That's it. All that other stuff is well, but he narrowed it down. And before that, he had 5, 10, 15 things that was on his list. And he narrowed it down to basically 4. Yeah, he narrowed it down to 4. So those are the top 2, or the first 2 perspectives. Yes.
So I was listening in the car.
Mhm.
And the way you broke down this marathon thing, so I never understood that question. what's the one thing you could do such that by doing so you could? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's frustrating to not know, right?
Right?
But when you break down this list the way you did in the stair steps,
Mhm.
really coordinating with an experienced running partner or coach will get you to a time block. And it will
100%.
get you to-
That's what I said
You're
that
not gonna come
earlier.
up with the regimen.
Yep,
So I'm gonna just get a coach.
right. So if you go, that's what I said, like, if you narrow it all the way down, so what Philonda Shay said, guys, is that she was listening on the ride over, and she's always heard, work on your one thing, narrow everything down so that nothing else matters. And it wasn't until seeing this written out that she really understood it. And now she can go back and write out whatever it is she's trying to accomplish, number them, and then she's just gonna start where they ended, which is coordinate with an experienced running partner or coach. So she's gonna do that for her things and make it happen. It is about 4 o'clock. That was I just wanted you guys to, I'm gonna go back to, yep, it's 4 o'clock, but so the purpose of today was to introduce you to the 6 personal perspectives, give you an overview of what we'll be doing, even deeper than what we did today with those 2 perspectives. Deb's gonna spend, 30, 45 minutes in small group on each one of those perspectives, right? For a CE class. So when you guys see this class come on, either next month or early July, please sign up for it. The last time, I think she had maybe about 12, 14 people. She did it on Zoom. This one's gonna be in person. And we'll be able to break out in small groups. So look for that class and we'll dive in to it. All right, but it will be CE, so it'll be much longer. All right. You said you didn't get me in the picture. That's okay if you did. And are you guys on our private Facebook page?
I just joined it today.
Okay, cool. So I'll make sure the perspectives get up there because I see you taking pictures. I was telling Dawn today that we have to know these. This is probably one of the secret sauces within KW. If we can work through these perspectives, you guys will understand the training more. You will understand your purpose more, and that's the key to Keller Williams. It's not just about real estate. These perspectives work in anything in life. It's not real estate. It's not just real estate. This is stuff that makes you grow and be successful in life. All right, so we're gonna dive into these, okay? All right, cool. Thanks for coming in, guys. I feel good like this. I'm sorry, I didn't forget y'all out there on the Zoom world. However, I feel good with people being in the room. So thank you guys for sharing today, and look for this class to be on the calendar.
Okay.
And make sure that you come, okay?
Yes.
All right, cool, awesome.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
To